Ladies and gentlemen, world first rank 19 Rogue is in the building, and I have some excellent news for those of you who can get the Winter Ops uniform for our favorite mutant superhero. It is fantastic. Despite having less of an impact in PvP because of the loss of the iframe ignore, and no, unfortunately, it's not a hidden iframe ignore, it's just gone. They made up for it by cranking up her damage to the moon in PvE content. And when I say PvE content, I essentially mean everything. World Boss, ABX, ABL, and GBR. She is amazing, and the best part is you don't even have to tier 4 her to get that value. But I did anyways because I really like her, and I think she's an easy shoe-in after seeing her performance here to replace Storm. And actually, I did testing on the live stream, and if you want to see more in-depth details on her level 80 performance, level 70 performance, old uniform performance, even the Excalibur uniform performance, you can check out that live stream. It was fantastic. People showed up. It was great. It was really fun. But even at level 80, with a very similar build, actually with a build that lacks the artifact, which Storm does have at 5 stars, my Storm, I was able to outscore my Storm. My Storm scores about 7 to 7.5 million. And my Rogue was scoring almost 8 million with a level 80 tier 3 build. And that's also considering that Storm has an additional 2% pierce and 17% all attack from the X-Force team up that Rogue does not have. So if you didn't have this team up at all, like if you don't have the X-Force team up built up at all, then your Rogue would be even further ahead than your Storm. So yeah, for all of those reasons, I think she's fantastic. But let's get into the nitty gritty now. Let's get into the details. As far as the uniform options go, they're brutal, but you're paying for this uniform, so hopefully you have all of these already. It's Mordo, Rocket, Sabretooth, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. Like, this is some of the worst optionals ever. Not because they're old, like a lot of these are from this year. Actually, 3 of them are from this year, but just because they're for like very mid characters, right? This is an old uniform for sure, and this one is from last year, but this is just a really shit mid character, really shit mid character. Again, kind of shit mid character. So that's really the frustrating thing about these optionals. They're not really doing any favors. As far as like on the positive side, the first thing I want to point out is they actually changed her idle animation. I think it's so cool. It now is blue instead of yellow, right? Because the Excalibur uniform had it as a yellow idle animation that you'll see here in a second. I believe, yeah, you'll see this yellow idle animation. And then they actually changed the third character. Actually, I made such a huge deal about this when it came out. I just think it's so cool. Instead of being Nightcrawler, Apocalypse, Psylocke, Storm, it's now Nightcrawler, Apocalypse, Iceman, Storm. And the reason for that change is, of course, because it's a Winter Rogue, and you now feature Iceman on the 5th skill, which is really, really cool. And you'll see here in a second when you do the 5th skill that Iceman comes in on his own sleigh and then rockets off towards the left of the arena. Really, really nice. So yeah. Thankfully, unlike Magneto and Magic's uniforms, we don't have this issue this year where you can't really tell that they're winter uniforms. You can absolutely tell. You have multiple skills with snowballs and ice and this kind of stuff. Very, very obvious. You have storm clouds that also drop ice and snowflakes. So yes, very winter themed. And trust me, Coulson is very winter themed, as you'll see in his video later on. But very, very good. As far as the rotation, I do think she can be proc friendly, although there's a bit of a timing issue involved. You cancel 5 immediately, but you don't cancel 3 immediately. You have to wait just a little bit for her to sort of point upwards. You see like a point upwards, and then you can go. But when you go, you get a lot of hits. You get 305 hits on 3 targets, so that's 100 hits. So you get a 100 hit combo from this, and I think it's proc friendly. I don't think a proc is her best CTP. Like, I don't think an energy or a destruction is going to be her best CTP, but I think it's possible. So if all you have is a mighty destruction, or all you have is an energy or a mighty energy, then I think it can work. It can work. However, I actually don't have the best build on her, believe it or not. So yeah, that's the rotation. 5, cancel 3, delay, cancel 4. And then when you have the tier 3 up, you go 5, 3, 4, 6. You go right into 6 if you're using a proc, obviously. You want to proc on the 6. The 6 has insane damage now. They really cranked up, and you can tell when you compare to our old uniform. They really cranked up the damage on ultimate absorption. It's got the 100% damage proc, and it's 90% of her attack, I believe. Let's see this one here. It's the same on this one, but I don't know. They did something to it. It's much, much stronger now. It hits much, much harder, the tier 3. Now, when I said that I don't have the best build for her, here's the thing. I have a Mighty Rage. And I spent the beginning of the video telling you that I think Storm has been replaced now by Rogue, even at level 80 tier 3, and then of course at tier 4. But here's the thing. Rogue, I think, is better with a Judgment. And the reason for that is she doesn't have any elemental damage whatsoever in her kit. Like, she deals elemental damage, right? She deals mind, cold, lightning, mind, cold. But none of her buffs, none of these buffs here increase her elemental damage. So she is hungry for elemental buffs. So my advice to you is this. If you're going to buy Rogue's uniform, whatever you do with her, whether you leave her at level 80 or you tier 4 her, give her a Judgment first and see just how insane she is. I can show you guys some screenshots here. This is some other things that we'll talk about in a second, but if you take a look here, you have stage 45 of Jean Grey being cleared by a tier 3 level 80 Rogue, which is insane. This is crazy. Well, almost cleared. And then 79 of Gore. It looks like it could be cleared by her. Could be. Again, this is just insanity that she's this strong at level 8. Again, this is with a Judgment. So, yeah, very, very strong character. I recommend starting with a Judgment and then seeing what you really need her for. If you want her to sort of be a jack of all trades for PvE content, then I would say, yeah, go with the Judgment. Otherwise, if you know for sure you're going to slot her in for ABX, ABL, then yeah, by all means you could go for a Rage, but some people have been scoring really well with a Judgment. First up, we got a Dormammu solo. Now this is on combat day, so she does get a damage reduction, but this can still give you a good idea of what she can do. And we're using Ancient One support here so that we can get the additional elemental damage buffs, which I actually think will matter and will be similar to an actual real lead here. We're going to open with 2 and then scale this up. Make sure we proc this. Let's rip it and run it. Very nice. So here's the thing. I didn't one-shot this part of the fight, right? So you're like, oh, that's bad. But remember, this is off typing. You're not going to play speed types on combat day. So 100% she would have one-shot that. 100% she would have one-shot that if it was on blast day or speed day or universal day, because there's no reduction there, right? So I think that's a really good first sign, and that would have saved us like whatever 15-20 seconds. Let's go ahead and pop off here. You can see the tier 3 just chunks. Really nice. Now with a Rage or a Judgment, you have a lot of flexibility, so you can let the 2 play out as long as you want here. Remember, her Rage proc or her Judgment proc is going to last 7 seconds. It lasts the whole time, so you really don't have any downtime. You're basically doing damage constantly. So you can even sort of delay cancel the 5 a little bit. It's really nice. She's just so fun to play. This is basically just like Captain Marvel, but honestly, I found Captain Marvel a bit clunky to play with a lot of canceling. Rogue doesn't really have that problem. Much smoother gameplay, and the fact that you don't cancel out of the tier 3 gives you a little bit of a rest in between rotations, whereas with Captain Marvel, you're constantly canceling, so there's really no time to rest at all. You can also see from her tankiness that she's going to heal here in a second, so it kind of gives you some, you know, well, she should heal a bit faster. She should heal a bit more here, but yeah, 2 minutes is, man, this is great. Less than 2 minutes with type disadvantage. She's doing 20% less damage because of the penalty to combat types. I think this is very, very good, and this is not necessarily her best team. What if Rogue had type advantage? Let's see against stage 94 of Mephisto. Let's unleash with the full rotation. We had a delayed proc. That's okay. We're going to let the 1 play out, then we're going to let the 2 play out. We can do this because, again, she, you know, has a Rage, and you can do the same thing with the Judgment, so it's really nice. Pop the tier 3. And should be good. Okay, there we go. 25 seconds. I was getting a little bit worried. All right. See the damage here. Now that we can finally see the bar. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Remember, the tier 4 does damage as well, so you get that constantly trickling around. We're going to let him iframe, and then we're going to kill him here. Very nice. Iframe ignore on the tier 3 means we just power our way through. Oh my god. Did we really not kill him? I'm shocked. Wow. Okay, so we get to show off her damage reduction, which is basically taking no damage from him, taking damage in the hundreds, which is insane, and then also her foot speed. Wow. I'm actually shocked she didn't do enough damage to outright kill him there with the tier 3. Was not expecting that. But maybe we just needed that rage proc to activate as well. Woo! Just almost his full health. No biggie. Tanks the purple attack. Very nice. So easy to play, man. Quite different from Captain Marvel to play, I will say. I don't mean to keep dunking on Captain Marvel, but yeah, look at this. So yeah, just over 91 seconds. And honestly, we lost like 10 seconds. That should have been way faster. Should have been way faster. What about Kang stage 40? Now, Magneto does this one with a rage, but Magneto has a special property whereby he deals more damage to humans. So I think this is going to be a situation where Rogue is going to struggle. And yeah, by the looks of it, this is not going to happen. Believe it or not, this is not actually... Yeah, it's not looking too good right now. 25 seconds is about as long as it could take. If it takes any longer than that, you're kind of in trouble. And when the rage proc doesn't trigger, it's even worse. So yeah, we're kind of at a loss here for all right, let's take a look. Okay, took big damage there, but we still tanked it. Okay, impressive tanking. Just in spite of taking that to the face. All right. Yeah, no, she's struggling, though. She's struggling. She's going to take it again. Pop the tier 3 right away. I think with the judgment, she flies through this, to be honest. The tanking is crazy, though. You see how much damage she takes, and she just tanks it. Like, her defense is very, very high. Her HP is very, very high. I'm kind of glad that we get to showcase this just to show how tanky she is, even though... Like, we can see rage procs missing, and we can see her damage is a little bit suspicious here. Yeah, this is not fast. This is gonna end badly. I'm gonna end this prematurely. But yeah, I do also want to showcase her limitations with a rage and kind of highlight why I think Judgment is actually better for her, especially if you're not super into ABL. Like, if you're not really hardcore, really competitive. I think a Mighty Judgment or a regular Judgment, but more so a Mighty Judgment would be very, very good. So remember that level 80 Rogue that I showed you that was clearing, that looked like she could clear Gore 79? Well, unfortunately, the Rage version does not perform nearly as well. So I'm going to showcase that now. Popping off with the tier 3. Damage is just not very good. Yeah, that's sort of the only thing to say here. Okay, we accidentally got into the Pierce area, but yeah. So if you take a look here at 420, which is essentially 419, we're actually a bar and a half behind with the same team up. Almost identical strikers here. Actually, identical strikers. It is identical strikers. Or whatever. It's almost identical strikers. But we're actually a bar and a half behind. Now, you're probably looking at this and you're like, what the hell is going on? Well, there's two things going on. One, this rogue here has the artifact. So there's a couple things I want to point out here. This rogue has the artifact, and the artifact is actually double dipping on damage increase versus Gore, because Gore is considered an alien. So that's the first thing I want to point out. So if you want to really crush Gore with Rogue, you got to get the artifact. Second thing I want to point out is this character, this player is using a regular Judgment or a Mighty Judgment, but they're using a Judgment. So that's what I want to point out is Rogue might seem a little underwhelming specifically for World Boss Legend if you give a rage to her. So I kind of made this video as like, hey guys, I'm world first, rank 19 Rogue, but I have the wrong build. So don't build her this way. Don't waste your crystals having to unequip it. Just give her a Judgment and you'll be happy. I'm fairly confident. I know it's been like, what, 12 hours since less than 12 hours since the character came out. but I'm fairly confident that if you give her a Judgment, even if you keep her at level 80 tier 3 with this new uniform, you will be very happy. She is so strong. She's almost impressively strong for World Boss with a Rage, which is already, you know, an impressive feat in and of itself. She was almost competing with my Miles Morales at level 80 when she was level 80, and he's got a Mighty Judgment. So I think that kind of speaks for itself. But yeah, I'll see if I'm going to switch her to a Judgment and do an updated showcase. But yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you want to see from her. I'm very happy with the rework. I think it's excellent. I just think I you know, pulled the trigger too early and went kind of with a bad build. Yeah. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.